All right. What's up, everybody? Hopefully, everybody's having a fantastic week. Today is the 28th of July. Last week in July, Bitcoin took a tumble yesterday as Nvidia fell sharply. That brought a lot of the rest of the markets down. You also have the DXY breaking out, or I wouldn't call it a breakout, but it's working on a breakout. We'll say that. Working on a breakout. We're going to be focusing a little bit this morning, probably more on the stock market. I'm still short on Bitcoin, but I also have longs on Bitcoin. I don't really see anything in terms of the crypto market this morning. Maybe Farcoin. We'll keep an eye on some things. We'll see if there's a setup. I'm not loving everything in the crypto market because there was a big move yesterday, and generally after we get a big move, the next day kind of is small. We're watching Euro Pound in the Forex market. It did give us a setup this morning, but I was not paying attention. So if it goes back up, we'll take the short on that. And then obviously we're gonna try to throw some trades on, like I said, in the stock market. We have SMH, which is the semiconductor ETF, literally been just tearing to the upside for the last couple of years. This thing has been on an absolute tear this year, though, as the AI craze is taking over the world. You had the most volume thrown down yesterday at a major key liquidation point since 2019. Like, that is a humdinger of a volume spike. So we may be seeing a little bit of capitulation potentially. So we may look to sell some premium there on that. You are gapping down this morning, though. So you're already down. This is a big mover. This one isn't going to be faint. This one isn't going to be for the faint of heart. We have Coca-Cola breaking out to fresh all-time highs as they reported earnings. We're going to look at a few things. So, yeah, should be okie dokie on the day. We'll see how everything goes. I don't really have any intraday setups. Gold did not break out last Friday, or did not hold support, really. We have broken down. That trade ended up getting stopped out. We were looking for gold to hold at like 45, and it did not do that. This is going to be due to dollar strength. The only reason that we even thought remotely about looking for longs on gold right now was because China is literally making it illegal for individual citizens to trade derivatives. You can only buy the metal, the bullion. You cannot trade futures or options. And some analysts thought that that may cause a spike in the overall gold market. And that did not happen. We did get a slight uptick, but nothing like what people were expecting. So we'll see if gold can hold support. $4,000. That is the major support zone. You can see you haven't been able to spend much time trading under $4,000. So that's probably the area that it seems to be heading down to. And we're still holding longs on dollar. I was keeping an eye on pound CAD. We were going to potentially look for longs on this. I still do like it for upside trades, but since we're in the end of July, the best thing to do on this might be to wait until August to take a position on it, see if it liquidates July's low, maybe then see if it wants to find support. But we'll see how that plays out. Let's go ahead and take a look at the DXY this morning. We can get a good idea as to what's going on. Not quite breaking out, but it is working on a breakout. We do have the FOMC tomorrow. And as of right now, the market is pricing in there will be no cut or no hike. So the Fed will remain unchanged. You also have a BOJ rate decision. I think that's on Friday. But if you look over here, just go 1 month into the future, and you can see that the market is pricing in a rate hike in September. So July, we'll get July 29, that's tomorrow, we'll get the Fed rate decision. And then for a month and 2 weeks, the Fed will be silent. So whatever the Fed says tomorrow, the market will dissect every single word, and we'll see if they remain hawkish. Does the dollar ultimately break out and start to trend? You can see here at the very end of the month, it's trying to close up strong. Will it close above June's high? We shall see. But this is obviously what's putting a little bit of pressure on Bitcoin right now. Going and looking at the daily chart here on Bitcoin, you can see that yesterday was a nasty day as it took out Sunday's high, broke below the 21 exponential moving average, and then closed under it. So Bitcoin looking like it wants to head a little bit lower here on the near term. You got BIP 110 stuff right now is kind of affecting Bitcoin, and the Middle East is affecting Bitcoin. You also have the DXY affecting Bitcoin. So a lot of things out there not looking so good for Bitcoin. We do own quite a bit of Bitcoin, so we would love to see this thing bottom out eventually. Excuse me. But BIP 110 news start affecting this probably in the next couple of weeks. So we'll see what happens. We were trying to be short Pingu and ended up getting stopped out over the weekend as it liquidated the weekly swing highs and then literally ran out of steam and rolled over yesterday. What it did yesterday was literally the move we were looking for last week when we shorted it here. We wanted to see a large move, and we never got it. So when it broke out over the weekend, I repositioned in this for a long, anticipating that if it refuses to break down, it must be looking to break out. And nope, it is not. It is just a chop fest in the crypto market right now. And since it is choppy like that, it makes me not want to trade it. Right? It makes it a little bit annoying when you can't get breakouts or breakdowns that last for more than 20 minutes. No continuation, no money being made. All right, let's see here. And then over here on the other side, we've got the investing portfolio. We've got a few things that are going to be changing on this. So we'll see what this looks like at the bell. Like I said, Coca-Cola is breaking out. That's a good sign. Verizon is literally on a tear. There's Coke moving to the upside. That's fresh all-time highs on Coca-Cola. On earnings report. Oh, wait. Yeah, they reported this morning. I thought it was yesterday evening, but yesterday was Monday. I don't think many companies report on Mondays. But anyways, that's why it's breaking out here. It could get faded. We'll see what happens. Here's Verizon. Verizon reported last week, and that's what made it break to the upside there on Friday. Big move here, and you can see you are gapping up slightly. So this one is also in good shape up here, testing 2025 highs right now. On the longer time frame, this thing has room to go to the upside. And you can see right here where you're currently at, retesting June's high. That's going to be a major level for it to break out above for upside continuation. So that's going to be the level that we're mostly focused on here this morning. Not looking for any shorts. We're long. This is an investment portfolio, so we're just holding these trades long without leverage on them. But I am very interested in selling some premium on SMH. If it liquidates this swing low and stops going lower, I'll probably sell some out of the money puts, as the premiums on this are a little bit The near-term premiums aren't that great. The longer, like out past 30 days, looks good. Let the market open, and then we'll price those options accordingly. But this may be a good time to look to sell some far out of the money puts, as that volume spike yesterday could have been a capitulation style move. We'll see. Got to be careful with it right out the gate, because it is down, and you could see a nasty down day today as well. But some of the AI stocks not doing so good. Tesla also reported earnings and took out major monthly swing lows. It was a key swing low. It kind of needed to hold that. It was unable to do so. So for the first time in a while, you've got Tesla trading well below its 21-month EMA. Testing the 200-week EMA right now. Not seeing a whole lot there. And then SpaceX literally making fresh lows almost every single day. So SpaceX is under the price at which I thought we would see a bounce at. 112 was where we were looking. So it ain't done yet, obviously. Not really seeing any major volumes on this just yet to even indicate that the low is in. So be careful if you're looking for longs on SpaceX. This thing can continue to go lower. We may sell some puts on it. It's got earnings coming up next week. So we may look at some premiums on this as well when we get the bell. Good morning, Bravo, Peter, and Tom. Good morning, everybody. S&P 500 up ultimately yesterday after moving lower. Yesterday was a pretty nasty move lower. Okay, I was getting ready to say, what is going on with this candle? But I see what's going on with it now. It was a gap up, and then it faded. It just basically liquidated. It didn't even liquidate last week's lows. I mean, it did. It did almost, not quite. Not quite. But we'll see if Nvidia sells off again today. Causes that risk off look. A lot of craziness going on in the markets right now. Let me see what's going on. You got any big movers in the crypto market this morning? CODI USDT's up 48%. It seems to be the big mover this morning. Goodness gracious. Things aren't looking so great out there. In the tech space especially. Apple looks good though. Apple's making fresh highs. Microsoft down. Nvidia's down. Nvidia still looks fine. It just was a pretty nasty down day yesterday. Still above the yearly open. Amazon looking a little sluggish. Google. Meta's been range bound for quite some time here. So it'll be interesting to see what it does if it gets back down to those monthly swing lows. And then let's go look at the data center stocks. Palantir range bound still. It did break down, but could not continue with lower lows. Yet, it does look like the sellers are jumping on it, though. APLD coming off pretty hard the last few weeks. Credo Technologies also down next to last week's low. Amphenol gapping down this morning. ARM Holdings. Damn, some of these things are coming off aggressively. I'm sure some people are going to be looking to buy these. Anybody that missed out on that magnificent rally, they're definitely going to be looking to see what this does at the lows. If it spends time building up some kind of support, I'm sure people are going to jump on these. Some of these are off pretty significant. Big get down on Car. Car is mostly an AC company, or, I mean, they did get a big chunk of business for data centers. It's not really known as an AI play, but it is one that people were watching because of the new deal. But apparently, it's not a high flyer yet. Mueller bouncing back significantly. We'll see if this ends up being a lower high. MU also pulling off of the highs. I can't believe MU hit almost hit $1,300 a share. That is absolutely insanity. Absolute insanity. This thing was trading for less than $100 a share in the early Q1 of 2025. For it to 10x like that, insane. And once again, SMH gapping down this morning. It's not a monthly swing low that it's currently sniffing out right now. That is just a weekly swing low. So it will be interesting to see what it does. That low did trade during normal market hours, is setting at 527.87. This pre-market, post-market low, 528. So not quite a liquidation yet. That's basically what I'll be looking for, is a liquidation. And if it spins like very little time under that liquidation level and gets back above it, that's when I'll probably look to be selling some premium. See if this thing's getting ready to bounce. I'm just looking for a bounce. I'm not looking for it to revisit highs or anything like that. I would be doing that trade for just like a week out or something like that. The end of the week. Just to make a couple $100. Should be fine. Should be fine. And as I said, we are currently still holding shorts on Bitcoin. That's literally the only position that I have open right now in the futures crypto portfolio. To get you up there. So you can see the short. It's literally just hedging off the long that we took a long time ago. We got long when we had the last NFP print that we got. So literally the NFP print for July. It was June's NFP print, but it was the first Thursday in July. It's usually the first Friday, but obviously July 4th was a holiday. So we got the NFP print on Thursday. We took this trade specifically for the news event only, and we're still in it. We've just been sitting in it. And the fees have almost taken the profit that we did make away. So we made $250 on the trade that day. And so far, the funding fees have taken $62 just from sitting in the long, and then the transaction fees there. So over $100 wiped out in fees from that trade. So when it kind of got up here, once the volatility was rising with price, we decided to go ahead and put on that short. And we're still sitting in it, just to hedge off this long. If Bitcoin wants to go make fresh lows, the short will pay more money because it is slightly bigger positioning. So you can see we currently are holding a 20x levered short with a little bit less than $1,000 of margin, whereas on this trade we're under 700. So just a slightly bigger position. Can't tell you which way price is going to go, so I'm not going to close either one of these positions. And interestingly enough, it looks like we're making money for being in the short. This is an issue for Bitcoin for long-term positioning. We'll go take a look at that and see if we're getting any kind of a change there yet. See what those funding fees look like here on an annualized basis. Still chopping in the paying shorts territory. So I would say it's BIP 110 that's holding Bitcoin back right now. If I had to guess, my guess would be that's what's people are waiting on that. Obviously, people are already long taking positions, but before price really starts to show any kind of sell-side exhaustion, we're going to have to be on the other side of BIP 110. Ultimately, it does not look good here. It did look good. We would have wanted to see support hold here, and it was a nice support hold. Ended up being just a fake out. That's all it was, just a fake out. You're back under that 21 day. Not a good sign. Want to see some higher highs on this thing, not lower lows. And let's go look at oil. Oil did come off pretty hard. We were expecting it to pull back at 90 bucks. It got above 90 bucks there for a minute. Dropped 8% in one day. Nasty gap down there. As long as they're in the Middle East, this is going to be a choppy trade. I would say you're going to see quite a bit of two-sided trade on oil for a while. For a while. As tensions are high, but we've seen so many escalations and de-escalations at this point. Oil is just, it's not going to be an easy read. Currently testing daily support. That's what it's bouncing from today. So, yeah, I mean, if the Fed comes out tomorrow and is still hawkish, I think you're going to see the DXY break out. Maybe not tomorrow. We may see like a day where you get a downside move or a spike above, liquidate the highs, and then pull back. Make everybody think that the BOJ intervened, because that's literally what retail is looking at right now. So many people are short USD JPY. In anticipation of BOJ intervention, I put out a video on Saturday explaining that even if the BOJ intervenes, if the Fed doesn't cut and the BOJ doesn't hike, it's not going to matter. You're not going to see a lot of downside continuation, because the way that things are structured right now on the macro backdrop, where you have such an interest rate differential between the US and the BOJ, that makes the carry trade on this very attractive. Very attractive. So for big money accounts that are looking for longer term buy and hold positioning, they're going to be looking for the long on this, not the short. It's too expensive to hold a short on this when the macro is currently poised for long dollar. But still, even though this has been the easiest dollar long to be holding for such a long time, you still have this scenario. Oh, we don't want to look at this. We want to look at platform and tools, trader sentiment, as Forex.com is going to tell you how the majority of their customers are positioned. And as you can see here, over 88%, it was 93% last week. 93% of retail is positioned for a short on this. And this is why it just keeps grinding higher. Retail throws their stops above swing highs and then they get liquidated. Then you get dips and they think they're on the right side of the trade, so they jump in because they feel as if they've missed it and they've been trying to short it for so long. When you see a big downside candle, that's going to make your emotions kick in because you missed it. Then you're going to jump in for a short and then you're going to get grinded out again. Just over and over. Rinse, repeat. Rinse, repeat. It's been such an easy long. I haven't been long USDJPY specifically because since the BOJ intervention risk is real, I can't be a buyer on this above 160 because the BOJ has intervened at 160 before. They intervened at 160 back in 2024, and then they intervened at 160 again in late April at 160, 162 actually. Oh no, sorry, that isn't it. It's over here. It's at 160. They intervened again late April, and that literally accounted to no continuation. You got a sizable down move that lasted for less than 2 weeks. So what people aren't like, I think what people are doing is they're looking at this entire move back here in 2024, and they're looking at that and attributing that gigantic move to the BOJ interest or the BOJ intervention. And that just isn't true. That isn't what happened. You got a BOJ intervention here. This is what the BOJ intervention was from. Just those 2 weekly candles. This candle right here happened when the Fed came out and changed interest rate policy. So this continuation move lower was literally because the Fed cut interest rates. Had nothing to do with the BOJ intervention. And ultimately it ended up being a buying opportunity. So any pullback in this, if the Fed stays at an elevated interest rate or is threatening hikes, that's bullish for the dollar. So if the BOJ does intervene for a week or two, I assume that dip gets bought up. I would be looking to buy then. But we'll see. It will be their second intervention, and they will be able to intervene one more time. The third intervention might wipe out the bid. We'll see. But as of right now, they've only intervened once. If they were going to intervene, I would assume they would intervene on the Fed day. as on the Fed day, you're going to see a lot of long dollar proponents, especially if the Fed is hawkish. That would provide a lot more liquidity for the BOJ to sell into. So, I mean, if you're going to see them intervene, maybe they intervene tomorrow. So that's why even if the Fed is hawkish, it's going to be a very, not a great trade idea to be looking for longs on this current pair. But there are other ways that we can get long the dollar. But right now we're going to watch euro versus pound. We do have a short side bias on this because it is in a downtrend. No matter what time frame you look at this on, it's in a downtrend. You're seeing a 3-week bounce here. I think this is nothing more than a dead cat bounce. So as long as it's trading under this prior weekly swing high, I have a sell side bias on it. Now, the one issue that we currently have with it is it does look like it wants to run higher. And if we pull up our relative strength index briefly, this thing has a really bad habit of spiking above the 50, like you see here, like you saw here, like you saw here. You get the point, right? It has a really bad habit of spiking where it is currently. So even though we like this for the downside here, and it is an area of opportunity, we have to try to put the trade on if we get that rejection. And if it trades back up here and rejects again, I would be interested in putting it on. Obviously, my stop will be just right above the day high because I know this pair especially has a bad habit of wanting to break out higher than setting a top. So the best trade might be up here between like 857 and 859. That may be the best trade idea. I just don't know if you're going to even get there. That's the thing. As long as you're under this, which is last week's high, you're threatening trend continuation. So I'm literally short euro dollar, I'm short pound dollar, and I have a long on USD Swissy. All of those positions, the way the rollover rate is set, I am making money regardless if I'm seeing price, like, because I'm long the dollar. So even though I'm not seeing price appreciation on the dollar, I'm still making money because every one of these trades are currently positioned in favor of the rollover rate. So we'll pull up euro dollar first. Right here, you can see I'm literally being paid to hold the short, whereas euro dollar longs currently have to pay, and they have to pay quite a bit. So it's just by sitting in the short, I'm literally getting paid every single day. Now, pound dollar, that one I have to pay. That one, it doesn't matter what side of the trade you're on. Doesn't matter if you're long or short, you're paying. So if this one stops making fresh day lows, then I will exit this trade completely. Just close it out. There's no point in setting in it if it's going to move sideways. I only want to be short if it's trending lower. I do think it's probably getting ready to trend lower. As if you look at the weekly here and only focus on this year's data, you can see at the beginning of the year, you put in the yearly low, liquidated the yearly low, and then got a nice upside solid expansion, put in 2 weeks of continuation. This set the yearly high, then it rolled over, came back in for a retest, set a fresh yearly low. So at this point, you are trending down. Then you recover back above the yearly, open, setting in a lower high, then putting in this move lower, making another fresh yearly low. Bouncing again, liquidating this swing high, and then rolling over. So it does look like a downtrend is about to start on this. Now, obviously, on the weekly time frame with the moving average structure, it's still more bullish than bearish. If you're only looking at moving averages to gauge trend or strength of trend, then clearly, yeah, moving average structure is still signaling longs. So that's why you haven't seen a large trending move yet. If the dollar breaks out, starts trending to the upside, my opinion is that this does ultimately roll over. But I'm looking for the longer term trade on euro dollar, not pound dollar, because no matter what, you got to pay to hold this trade. All right, let's go look at SMH real quick as you are getting that liquidation right now as we're speaking here. Let's drop down real fast. See what kind of volumes is being thrown down here today. So it does look like that massive volume spike came at the close yesterday. So today's price action, anybody that bought yesterday near the end of the day, that's what you're dealing with right now. Once again, if it shows us an inability to trade and trend under 527.87, we'll sell some premiums. Let's pull up SMH over here. Go check out their premiums. So Ivy is up here on the near term. This is why I want to sell close. So if we can get 3 days, see there is some juicy premiums on this down here. Juicy, juicy. A 480 strike. Is it possible that it gets to 480 in 3 days? Yeah, it is possible. Is it likely? Well, we'll see. We'll see what today does. As long as it's under this level, I don't have to put that trade on, because right now, objectively, you can make the statement that this is breaking down and heading lower. So you could see you could see a big, gigantic style move, a huge drop, depending on how many people got long yesterday and how many people are getting long today, as their stops would continue to push price lower. So we're not looking to put that trade on while it's in the process of stopping people out. We want to see it find a low, aggressively move away from that low, get back up near this level, then we'll send that trade and make, a couple $100. Potentially. It's on the move right now. I haven't looked at volatility, but let me take you up top real fast to show you what I was referring to. So the reason we took the sell on Bitcoin last week was because even though price on Bitcoin was appreciating, it was moving to the upside. Price was moving higher, so was volatility. Volatility was also moving up with price. So I took that as people were selling. They were buying volatility. That meant they were hedging against Bitcoin actually breaking out. That's the reason we got short. And ultimately, it was the right call to make. You can see VIX today, currently above 1890, but that level has been holding all daily closes so far. Is today going to be the day that it closes above? I don't know. S&P has not broken down yet. It's working on the breakdown right now. We did take a scalp yesterday in the ES futures. If you guys want to take a scalp in ES futures, let me know in the chat. I have no problem with scalping ES futures. I have no problem with it at all. You guys just let me know. I know most of the people that follow me are going to be looking for crypto trades. There just really isn't anything happening in the crypto market right now, unfortunately. It is very choppy. Very choppy. Pingu is finally now in a trending area. It is finally now trending, but I mean, we missed the short, or I missed the short. So yeah, right now you're breaking down on it. So if you caught the short yesterday, I would just continue to hold that. You're in the right trade. You're trading under last week's low. So in one day, literally in one day, you moved the same amount that it took 7 days to move last week. And last week was when we were short. So very annoying. When I get annoyed, I look to trade something else. It's that simple. Fresh all-time lows on SpaceX this morning. It just continues to make fresh daily lows, man. This thing is weak. And August is when the lockout period starts. So they've staggered their lockout periods. It's not 180 days for everybody. Some people get to start selling in August. So you haven't even seen any lockout sellers yet, and this thing is still going lower. Some people have done the math on this and suggest anywhere down to around $60 is about what this stock would be worth if you were just going by the numbers. I don't think you'll see $60 before the lockouts anyway, once you get the last or the remainder of the lockouts. So after 180 days, December-ish, that's probably when I would be willing to look to start getting a serious position on this. A serious position. S&P breaking down here, or trying to. It's trading at yesterday's low. Yes, that would be nice if you can do ES and SPX. Well, I'm not going to look to take scalps on SPX. You can only trade options on SPX. It's the cash market. All right, but we can look for scalps on the ES. So I do have a long-term trade here on the SPOOs on the SPY. That trade is way out in time. You can see I have 171 days left. I took that trade at the end of 2025, so I've been in it for quite some time. But I'm just setting on a put spread down here, a long put spread. That way, if the SPY drops like insane for whatever reason, if there ends up being a bear market this year, then maybe this put play pays off, right? It's just an insurance style trade. But to trade the futures, we just go over here to grid, pull up the micro contracts, because volatility is expanding. When volatility is expanding, we want to mitigate our risk. As you can see here, I have the liquidation zones already pointed out. So we'll see what the SPY does here, or the ES does here on the very near term. Bitcoin is at this moment in time trending down pretty nicely. Starting to break down as D-Vol just made fresh 3-week highs. So yeah, you could see a nasty down day today. All right, let's watch the SPY real quick, or the S&P 500 futures. Let's see, where are we at here? We got on the 30-minute candle. We just opened 20 minutes ago. Let me chart this up real quick over here on the other monitor. You have a major trend line down here. This is what's going to try to hold as support. All I did is pulled the low. This is on the SPX. This is the cash contract, or the options market only. You cannot take you can't buy shares of the SPX. You can only trade the options. But anyways, I just took a line from the low of June 9th and dropped it onto the low of June 26th. That gives you a perfect little wedging ascending trend line here. So far, this thing has held for the last 3 days. So taking a short down here means you would need a breakdown to get paid. You would need a breakdown. You're testing the day open as of right this second. So if you think that breakdown is going to come, right here is where you would put on a position. So we can try that once real quick with one contract. We will sell right off the bat. We got to check where we're going to send it and see what happens with it. When scalping the ES, I am generally wanting to only risk 5 points for the chance to make 10. Since volatility is expanded, I will allow it to go to 10 points against me, and then I will look for 20 points for profit. So if I'm short at 7,429, 39 has to be my stop. Well, let's do stop market. We're probably going to get hit here. So we want to buy to close. There's our stop. I do not like taking trades like this because, like I said, we need a breakdown to make money. I generally don't like those kind of trades. I like to buy pullbacks or sell rips. So clearly, just looking at the 30-minute chart here, the best sell would have been right here, because that's your last liquidation point right there. So the best trade idea on this morning would have been watching this high and taking a sell trade if it shows the inability to trend higher than that high. So let's go ahead and set a take profit of buy to close, one contract. We want this to be a stop market as well at 74.09. Stop limit, sorry, 74.09. As that would be a 20-point move for us. We'll view send. And they rejected that order. This better not fill me instantly. I will be so mad. Well, actually, I don't even care. Yeah, they're rejecting that as well too. So obviously I'm doing something wrong and I'm not seeing it. It's not registering. But anyways, so the best trade setups are going to be when you're testing prior days. All right. What I mean by that, simple. You see where you are now. You see how you're trading at yesterday's low. Yesterday literally told you that there is major support down here. So by taking a short trade at the open of today, it literally means that you think that the market can break down when the market has already told you 3 times that it struggled to break down here. The best trade is always going to be at prior day highs if you're looking for shorts up here. Because when you get an inability to trend above that, that's literally the market telling you, hey, there's resistance here. So if you're looking for shorts, this is the best place. Can you make money taking trades like this? Yeah, if you get a big breakdown, you will make money. But it's just not our style. But I went ahead and took it for you, so we'll see what happens with it. It's okay. I mean, because the VIX is gapping up from yesterday's close, fine, right? We anticipate maybe the market sees a little bit of weakness today, but it's not gapping up hugely. The VIX is gapping up from where yesterday closed, but it's still in yesterday's range. If you were gapping up above yesterday's high, that would be much better, right? Because you're looking for a breakdown on the S&P. So you would want to see the VIX breaking up. Since the VIX is still trading inside yesterday's range, not the best position for us to see a big breakdown. Tomorrow's the Fed day too. The biggest news. It's a long Fed recess, so it'll be longer than a month. It'll be a month and 2 weeks before we see them again. So, like I said, every word that man says tomorrow will be dissected in the market. The chances of us seeing a big breakdown today, not great. I anticipate that we'll probably see a lot of range-bound sideways price action today. I think if there is a trade to make, it will be on something like SMH. As you have a lot of volume, you're liquidating right now a key weekly swing low. It's not a monthly swing low. It's just a weekly swing low. Your monthly swing low is right there. You see that? So on the monthly chart, you're doing nothing here. You're already trending below last month's low. That's enough information to keep a lot of big buyers out of the market. But if the market shows us that it's struggling to put in lower lows and lower highs under this level, then we'll sell some premium. We'll sell some premium under this point for sure. All right, S&P's heading lower. We're about at a 1-to-1 right now. Little less than a 1-to-1 on the take profits. Verizon moving up nicely today. MO is also breaking out. Fresh all-time highs here on MO. This is a tobacco company. They report earnings tomorrow. Oh, wait, no, Thursday before the session open. So I really don't think we're going to see a big upside move here today. KO is up almost 7%. So some of these positions are doing very, very nicely. You can see the P&L on the day is up $3,500 because of Coke and Verizon. Nice profits there. 1%, so I'm not going to close it. I could close the Verizon one as it's a little bit more than 1%. It's at like 2.5% right now, but this is more for a long-term hold, so not really trading this account. It's mostly for investing. As you can see, these all have dividends. That's a trade, and that's a trade. Why isn't this stopped out? So for some reason, that should have been stopped out when it made a fresh low. All right, S&P's bouncing pretty strong here as you got a new 30-minute candle. We're giving it more room because the volatility is up. All right, for anybody just joining us, we took the short on the S&P because it was retesting the SPY's open. That's why we put the trade on right there. But it is at support. So we don't think you're going to get a breakdown, but you might. We'll see. SPCX short today? No, absolutely not. If you're trying to short an oversold market. It's not oversold just yet on the daily time frame. You're not oversold just yet on the daily time frame, but if you look at the 4-hour time frame, you are printing massive bullish divergence. If you look at the 8-hour time frame, you are also printing bullish divergence. If you look at the 12-hour time frame, you are no longer printing bullish divergence. So at some point, this is going to bounce. We never want to buy something just because it's oversold. Oversold could stay oversold for a long time. I'm not saying that if you short 107, you won't make money. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the trade idea itself is not smart. It isn't the way we trade. We don't look for breakdown trades. This would be a breakdown trade. You're printing fresh year lows. You want to be taking profits on your shorts at fresh year lows, not taking new shorts at fresh year lows, because eventually you're going to get a dead cat bounce to the upside. Since you never know when or where that's going to be, that is always the major risk on a short. If you're good at executing risk management, then of course you can look for shorts as long as you're making fresh all-time lows. Some people do trade like that. We don't. I don't. And I've said this a million times over again. So there was a lot of people that jumped on a short as soon as you broke down below that green line. I'm sure of it. But they're scalpers, so they're scaling out as price pushes lower. They jump on a trade, they're getting out of a trade. That's why you get bounces. Right? It's not a good setup for a trade. But people have built winning strategies around breakdowns. You can trade it if you want. It's not something that I trade. This market is so oversold, it's going to bounce. Now, after it bounces and goes up for a couple days, stopping out all of these very close buy shorts, because because it's been making lower highs and lower lows almost every single day. Every single day high beyond today is where stops are. So there are stops here, there are stops there, there are stops there, and so on and so forth, all the way up the line, right? Once you start making those fresh highs, you're probably going to see a squeeze. That could last for 2 or 3 days. Then we'll see if the sellers show up. That would be a better short opportunity than trying to get it on the lows. The reasoning behind it should be simple. Like, you should be able to look at this and understand why. It's the same exact reason why we're why we're getting stopped out right now here. When you look at this chart, just this price, look at where my short entry is in relationship to all of these candles. It literally looks like the worst place on planet Earth to have a short, right? Why? Because there is no candles under here. Like, it is the worst. It's like you're shorting the lows. So it should seem like very normal that you are going to eat a stop. Like, it's a guaranteed fact almost. Well, that's the exact same thing you're asking me on SpaceX. And we were stopped out. The exact same thing. That can happen here as well, as eventually the buyers are going to exhaust the sellers for a couple of days. We know that price moves in ebbs and flows. So we want to, if the trend is down, right? You are looking to short this. And that's only if the market is trending in that direction. The market is trending in this direction. This is like 101 stuff, right? Then you're looking to get long here and here and here. That's trend following. Gots to be patient. Bitcoin has bounced off the lows, making a fresh low, but still has not made a fresh weekly low. Oh, yes, it did. My bad. This is in the wrong spot. So 2 weeks ago's low is still intact. Volatility is at resistance. SPU's VIX is still not made a fresh day high yet, as your S&P 500 is at support. Support. I'm not big on trendline supports. Usually. It's these lows right here that have me worried that it's going to bounce from here. If it can't trade under yesterday's low, that's a problem. That means the sellers are not that fierce. They could get fierce later on today, but as of right now, they're not winning. Right now, it's just a very choppy market. So our short would have been a much better trade up there. Very choppy market. Let me see what this looks like on the 4-hour real fast. Yeah, it looks like you would be able to put a trend line on there as well. Very choppy. Everything's trading inside of this range right here. Currently setting higher lows. As of right now, you do have a bearish engulfing on the 4-hour. So that technically could be looked at as a 4-hour supply zone. But it's really support. It's not supply. It's support. This up here would be supply. That would be support. Shorting at support, not the best idea. We have to give it a minute. SMH is still chopping right under that liquidation point that we're keeping our eyes on. We are going to be very interested in selling premiums. One standard deviation away would put us at 482.50. That would be $3. We could get a $3.45 credit. That ain't bad. It's only 3 days away. That's a zero. That's a 15 delta. So that means there's like only a 15% chance that price will be there in that amount of time. So basically, we're just selling volatility. We're selling an elevated IV. If you don't have a big enough portfolio to sell a naked call, because that's going to require $6,100 in buying power, you could simply put the same trade on, but do it via a spread. You can do $5 wide spread. That just means you just get long another option $5 under where the strike is that you're selling, and that's going to knock your max profit down a lot, but it's going to require a lot less buying power as well. There's so many strikes because it's a very expensive stock. We're not looking to put this trade on, though, until we see an aggressive bullish move back above 527. And the only reason that this is a trade idea, because you are free falling right now, is because yesterday you put in capitulation style volume. But because you're down here today again, that doesn't look great for capitulation. So you may see more volume by the end of the day today. So we may be a day early. So we're only going to put that trade on if we get an aggressive bullish pop off the lows, get back above 527, then we'll send that trade off. 482 is down here. So as long as price stays away from that, we'll get paid. Or at least as long as you don't close the week out under that. If you do, you'll get assigned the shares. 100 shares of a $500 stock is kind of expensive. But not really seeing that yet. But there is a lot of volume. Look how much more volume is trading this morning than you saw yesterday morning. More than double. So I'm not the only one looking at this today. We're not the only ones watching this today. All eyes are on SMH right now. Lots of volume. That volume spike probably got picked up by 1 million scanners. So this went straight to the top of the watch list this morning. And longs or premium sellers are licking their chops right now. It was a violent move down yesterday. Huge. It's not ready yet. Good morning, Trade Talker, says Bower Bull. Good morning, my friend. Yeah, been playing around with SpaceX AI and think it is a really good, just need more traction, then the shares will go up. You referring to Grok? I think it will go up too. Elon has a really good habit of, you know, being a good he's a very investable individual. I think once it's going to potentially find a bottom. And when it does, I would love to be invested. My issue with investing in it right now is simple. It's way too close to the IPO. Right now, basically what you see going on here is the IPO buyers, the pre-IPO buyers, they were able to buy it or get in at 130. So those are the people that are currently underwater causing this sell side pressure. So anywhere buying it down here, you're buying it at a better price than the IPO buyers did. But they're also the supply. So 130 will be the first resistance that people will keep their eyes on if it does start to bounce. But yeah, I like it too. It's over 50% off right now. So you are getting it at a discount. It can go much lower, unfortunately, but if I'm going to buy it, I do want to buy it at a discount. I think at the beginning of next year, you'll probably start seeing like real demand show up in this. Once that lockout period is passed, all of the sellers have sold. That's when I want to start scooping it up when it's cheap, if it's cheap at that point. So like if you're in December, going into the middle of December or whatever, if it's still sub 100, I am definitely going to start buying it heavier. I own 10 shares of it now, but it should have been stopped out. I don't know why that stop loss did not work. And to be honest with you, I'm looking at the position. It's showing me that I don't even have a stop loss. But I know I put a stop loss out on it yesterday. SpaceX literally is the only one in the portfolio right now that is taking a loss. When I first put on all those trades, though, every single one of them were red for almost 2 weeks. We sat in a little bit of a drawdown there for a bit. Those are all dividend stocks too, and some of them have a healthy dividend. STRC obviously has the best dividend. There's 3 days to an STRC dividend. STRC is struggling to break back up above 90. That's a major issue. The more time it spends doing that, that's going to cause a lot of people to bounce. Because 90 was supposed to be the floor of this thing. Even SATA struggled to get back to 100. And not great news. We have earnings coming up. The biggest position is ARCC. It's the one that I own the most amount of shares in. This one here, I own over 1,000 shares of this. Long term, the chart looks okay. But because I hold a big position, they also pay a nice healthy dividend. But because I own so many shares of it, the price fluctuations are a little bit more aggressive than I like. I would love for it to start making and stay above fresh monthly highs. This thing's got earnings in one day. So I'm kind of concerned about that. It's clearly bearish on the daily chart, on the weekly chart as well. Clearly bearish. But longer term, it's at the bottom of a range, of a big range. It's not quite at the bottom of it, but yeah, I'm concerned. I hate earnings. Earnings are always unknown. So far, so good. So far, every one of them that I've been in, the earnings have all been good. And a lot of them, some of them, not all of them, but some of them are known as more of a, like a defensive positioning or a value play. And if you look at value, or value's been doing good. Here's the value ETF. So clearly you've been seeing a rotation in value as of late. Value's been literally crushing it, making fresh all-time highs. And then the RSP, which is the equal weighted S&P, is also making fresh highs. So this is a rotation. So you're seeing a clear rotation out of tech into value. That's been happening for a while. That's why I'm invested in these top 5 here, as these are all kind of value plays. Doing pretty good. While Nvidia and everything else is kind of in a corrective phase. Tesla had bad earnings, so it broke down. We were discussing a YOLO trade on that on the put side the other day. I wish I would have taken it. That would have been a 10x return, as it did work out. But I did not take it. It's getting absolutely clobbered now. Trading under last month's low, not great. Trading under a major monthly swing. And it's been bearish literally all year. Deliveries have not been great this year on Tesla. And last year, you also seen it struggle a little bit. Tesla's been very sideways for a long time now. A few years. A couple years. I couldn't even tell you where a good place would be to buy this now. You're getting ready to potentially tag 2023's high. You may see buyers show up there. I'm assuming people are buying the 200-week exponential as well. Big volumes on SMH at the lows. So people are trying to bottom tick this stock today. A lot of people are looking for that as that yesterday's volume spike to be an exhaustion style play. But we're not seeing, we're not seeing exhaustion yet. I mean, the volume that you're seeing here is insane compared to yesterday morning. Insane. Not Grok, it's actual SpaceX AI. Oh, I haven't tried that out. Buyers can't take back any ground here, and the S&P's still sideways. S&P struggling to get anything going here to the upside. So this will be interesting now. We've got 3 minutes until we get a new 30-minute candle. If we wick above this candle and stop and drop back under it, I'll try another short on it. I don't like the location. It's not a high probable scenario. It's at support, but because the market's been open almost an hour and you're still trading at the cash market open, kind of feels like it's struggling. Here's the thing. The VIX is currently trading at 1879, so it's under that 1890 resistance. Let's see if the VIX fills the gap, because it did gap up. Let's see if it finds support at the gap fill. That would give us a pretty decent short side entry on the SPOOs. One minute until the close. And 1865 is gap fill on the VIX. We don't want to jump on shorts if the VIX is going to continue to go lower. So right here is your close yesterday. the open of that candle is 1865, so that would be gap fill. If it stops going lower and heads back above this white line, we're going to want to look for the short. If it breaks down under 1865 and starts to trend, we don't want to look for the short, because the SPY is clearly bouncing off of a major support level that's been holding for the last 3 days. Big news tomorrow, so a lot of people are going to be on the sidelines today, waiting for the Fed rate decision. 1865, you saw a pretty sizable bounce. As soon as it tagged 1865, it went all the way up to 1873. I'm keeping my eyes on that. There's our very next candle open, but up here's where we want to get it, and only if it fails, because we're shorting so low in the range. This is your weekly range right here. So because you're shorting pretty much like at the weekly low, you want to make sure that it's failing. We can't see that it's failing as long as it's trading inside the prior candle. Now, obviously, if it was breaking down, making fresh lows, that would be another way to potentially get a scalp on, but I hate breakdown scalping entries. The only way I want to be looking for shorts on lows is if the VIX is like up big. Like if you got a VIX that is above 20, yeah, you short every bounce, every intraday bounce on the S&P. Usually. What is he doing? Throw his ass outside. Cat's driving my wife crazy. It's not our cat, it's my mother's cat. He's a pain in the ass. Well, it's our cat now, but we've adopted him. He's an old booger, so he's set in his ways too. You see the news, there wasn't much expected today, was there? Nothing. Nothing at all was expected today. In terms of news. There was only one newsprint at all, and that doesn't mean anything to us. Tomorrow, it's just the Fed rate decision. And then core PCE, GDP on Thursday, and then BOJ interest rate decision. So that'll be Thursday night at close to midnight. So even after, you're going to get an inflation number and a GDP number. GDP is expected to be at 2.1%. Everybody's looking for a recession, and ISM manufacturing is over 50. Like there's not a lot of things out there to suggest we're going to see a recession this year. But people are looking for it. Why? Because the market's overvalued. What's overvalued? Define overvalued. Up? Okay. Very strong intraday downtrend on this. I can't get over the volumes, man. You're seeing so much above normal volumes on this today. It's going to be because of yesterday's volume spike. People are looking at that volume spike as a capitulation. See how big that is? Like I said, I think that goes all the way back to like 2019. Yeah, May of 2019 was the last time you saw volume like that. But looking at it intraday, that volume came at the very last, like the last 15 minutes of the day. All right, here we go. Coming back to 527. If it can show us a big bullish response above 527, we're going to sell some puts. S&P 500 right now is testing the level that we want to watch. So if we get rejection here, we'll sell a contract. But the VIX needs to stop going down, and it hasn't, so I don't want to. It's still heading lower. We want this moving to the upside if we're going to look for a short on this. This is major support down here. Yesterday we took a long scalp on it down here. As it liquidated this wick, we were looking for a bounce because we knew this area was support. So we got long the spoos right here on this wick, and we took profits up here. We made 20 points on the trade. Risked 5, made 20. It was a good trade. We're still in that same area. So we'll try to take a short on it here in just a moment. Still not seeing the VIX moving in the right direction. Let me look at what Nvidia is doing. Is Nvidia recovering this morning? It is. Nvidia has made fresh day highs. $196.48 is pre-market highs on Nvidia. If Nvidia is trading above pre-market highs, and you're trading lower on the VIX, I'm not gonna jump on this short on the S&P. All right, now we're seeing a bounce on the VIX. We'll try it. Oh, it moved down too quickly. Yeah, that was an aggressive move there. $20 minutes left in this candle. There's still plenty of time for it to start heading lower, but I probably missed the fill. I don't want to get too cute with it. I've already got stopped out of this once. But we wouldn't even need a fresh day low to make profits. If we get filled at, let's say, 40, a move down to 20 would pay. So you wouldn't need a fresh low. You would just need a retest of support. as that would be our profit target. And then a fresh day high, or not day high, but a fresh 30-minute high would be your stop. That's not a good look. It didn't fill me. We're going to be stopped out instantly, maybe, on this. We're not even going to take a full 10-point stop on it. We'll give it just a little bit of room. 7 points. Now it's imperative that we get a lower close, because we just made a higher close. You just broke out above this candle's close. This was the higher close. You just made a higher close. So it is imperative that you get a lower close in the next few candles, or we're going to eat a stop. Mixes back down at the lows. It's just not as bearish as everybody thinks it is. SMH is almost at the level that we're watching here. So we're going to sell some premium on it if it can get back up there. Three days out. We're going to sell out one standard deviation. The 482s, there's a nice chunk of change on that. Just to capitalize on this high IV, we're going to be ball sellers. Not many people setting at 482.50, so we might go down to 480. You can see there's quite a lot more open interest there. These are going to be your spread traders. You can see how every so many strikes there's a large amount. Those are your spread traders. Still a lot of open interest at that strike. To use less margin on this trade, you would want to do a spread. Yeah, we did not get our lower close. It's a higher low. Not good. We want this thing making lower lows, and it ain't doing that. Market's been open for an hour and 15 minutes. So if it's going to roll, it needs to do it soon. I don't know that it is because you're making fresh day lows on the VIX. Even Bitcoin volatility is struggling to break out above resistance, which right now resistance is 1865. So there's a lower low. Let's see if it can give us a lower close. We want to see a close under this candle's close. Yeah, I don't like this price action. This looks like it wants to go higher. The buyers are scooping it up literally on par. Like, starting to accumulate back some ETH. Hang on one second. Could you look at Irene? Yeah, let me pull it up. Irene isn't looking that great here. It's under support. It's testing a 2 weeks ago support level, but this looks like a failure. And because you took out the lows, I mean, you're at a key inflection point, as this is a major monthly swing low. I mean, you're into monthly swing lows. I don't know if you're going to find support here. You could. It could, but it's not a good look. Is it a good place to accumulate some shares? Maybe for more of like a long-term buy and hold. You could potentially be a buyer here and then set your stops like under that monthly swing low. But I mean, you've got a full-on bear market on the daily time frame, and you lost the 50 that you just retested last week, and you set fresh week lows. We just took a stop on the S&P. Once again, trying to short the lows, dumb. So we're not going to do that no more. But anyways, yeah, it could find support here. I would want to see it hold support here. You've got earnings coming up we're on the weekly, so that's still quite a bit of time out. You're good there. You got more than 30 days on that. This is where I'd want to see it hold support. So maybe wait till the end of the day. And if this thing, it looks like it's going to close as a bullish day, maybe you can try to get long a few shares. But I mean, it's full on bearish. It's putting in slight divergence, I guess. But not really, though. I mean, yeah, I don't love it. That low is higher. That's a higher low. So it is not divergence yet. Looks rough, but it's range bound. That's all. It's just it's in a long-term range. Yeah, last quarter made fresh highs and rejected. This quarter, you're back on the lows. I don't like that, but this is potentially support. The only thing that you could do here is take a swing at it and get a stop under the lows and see what happens. Looks rough. Let's see what the volume's doing. You did see big volume come in at these lows. So that was nice, But the fact that it's right back down here is worrisome. This low isn't, you haven't liquidated this swing low yet. So I would be concerned that that's going to happen. I would probably want to wait until that does happen. I don't know what this company does. I'm not familiar with it. So I'm not going to speculate on what they... Let's see what the analysts have to say about it. Because generally, if I'm going to invest in an asset, I want the analysts also telling me that. And there's only 17 analysts giving the stock a rating, but still, it's better than 15, which is typically what we want to see. And only one of them is a seller. So that's a pretty good sign. There's a lot more strong buys than there are even holds, which is another good sign. So you have 11 really confident individuals saying that down here is a buy, and their max, I mean, I wouldn't be looking for that. That's a massive profit target. They missed on earnings. 2024, 2025, they did slightly better. 2026 estimates as of right now is this isn't going to be a good year to be a buyer of this stock. Yeah, they're losing money, like, really. That's not great. And the next earnings estimate is a big miss. That doesn't give me great confidence. Yeah, I don't love it. But I can't tell you what it's going to do, obviously. I can't see into the future. So you just have to ask yourself, is this an attractive area for you to be a buyer? If it is, then give it a shot. Start small. Maybe wait until they report earnings. That way you can just go ahead and start to get a position going. And if they report a beat, maybe then you get average in or something like that. In terms of technical support, you're at what should be technical support. You've also got a 100 exponential moving average that's currently here, so it's not a terrible place to put on a small position. Just make sure your stops are mitigated. Starting to accumulate back into Ethereum, Bitcoin, and a bit of gold. Think it's a good time for long term? Yes, I do. I think maybe wait on Bitcoin until after BIP 110 is done. So there are two things that we're going to be watching on the BIP. We want to see, A, does it get miner support more than it has right now? So essentially you need 55% of miner support. And if you get 55% of miner support, then it becomes a miner activated soft fork. So that's what you want to wait on. If it doesn't become that, if the miners stick together and say, no, BIP 110 is bad, none of us are going to do it, then that means you will have a soft fork, and then the BIP 110 chain will get a new ticker. It will not be Bitcoin. It'll be some other or whatever, right? Some other ticker. But if Bitcoin becomes if Bitcoin becomes BIP 110, you still might want to wait, because if that happens, you could see fresh yearly lows, right? So 4-year market cycle theory is still in full effect here, as long as you're trading under the monthly 50 exponential moving average. And In 2022, that was the last bear market you had. That's where the sellers showed back up again. You see this? In August, you got a fresh month high. You took out July's high. The sellers jumped on that as an opportunity for downside continuation. And then they did get fresh year lows. They're doing it again. You're seeing the sellers jump on here because they're anticipating fresh year lows. Right now, the funding fees are paying the sellers. So think about it this way. If I was looking to put on a position on Bitcoin and I was only going to put the position on in the direction of the funding rate, then you would have to be a seller, not a buyer. If you plan on sitting in the position for more than 2 months, 3 months, right, for an entire quarter, you're going to be on the sell side because that's the side that's getting paid, regardless of what price does. So I think right now the probabilities of Bitcoin trading lower are high. You've got BIP 110. That is an issue, regardless if the BIP 110ers, the proponents of BIP 110, believe it or not. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant how they feel about BIP 110. The fact that normal investors see that BIP 110 is an issue, it's an issue. That's a headwind risk. You also have currently dollar strength, which is another headwind risk for Bitcoin. And on top of that, the Fed is currently poised hawkish. And the market is pricing in rate hikes, not cuts. You have a hawkish Fed and the 2-year yield pricing in 2 cuts by the end of the year. 2 hikes by the end of the year. That's another bullish dollar macro signal. So you don't really have good conditions to be buying Bitcoin right this second. You've got a really up close headwind risk of BIP 110, and then you've got longer term, say Q1, Q3, Q4 dollar strength. I don't think the dollar strength will be an issue, because this is also November is when your 4-year market cycle theory buyers will show up. So if you're looking to be a buyer on Bitcoin, I would say, if it was me, I've stopped buying. Okay, so June was the last month that I bought in because Bitcoin was going down. So I was heavily accumulating in June. I spent over $20,000 buying Bitcoin in the month of June alone. And I'm done. I am not going to start buying more until November. November is when I'm going to start accumulating again. Because at least then we'll have the 4-year cycle market theory buyers showing up. That's when all of your 4-year cycle model theory YouTubers and Twitter guys are going to start saying buy Bitcoin. And they have a big enough following to literally influence price. Benjamin Cohen alone has several million followers across all of his social media platforms. Now, I don't know if he's going to become a buyer in November, but the last video I watched of him, I think he was looking for fresh year lows in October based on what Bitcoin did in 2022. It's also a mid-cycle election, which that's always going to happen. Because Bitcoin has a 4-year cycle for now. Could it be that this was the 4-year cycle that topped it out? Of course, right? Of course. But BIP 110 was already out there. People already knew about it. There was already BIP 110 discussions being had. It was a lot less people than there is now. But back then, that's essentially what caused the top. And then Trump hit the world with his tariff chart. That literally caused a liquidation. Massive, ended up being an event, a black swan event. And since then, we have not seen any of that money come back. So maybe around November, start accumulating. If it wasn't for BIP 110, I would say, yeah, you can start accumulating now at these prices. But because of BIP 110, I think BIP 110 is a big enough event to spark a volatility spike that could send Bitcoin to fresh yearly lows. And because the month of July is typically a bullish month, because it could not break above June's midpoint, it feels weak to me. Like, this is June's midpoint here, and you've done nothing but head lower since. That feels weak. And every day we go by now, every single day brings us closer and closer to BIP 110. It's soon. You're going to start seeing, you're going to start seeing it affect price in as little as 2 weeks. September, it should all be over with. So for the entire month of August, BIP 110 has the potential to just head lower. Yeah. We'll see what happens with it, but I mean, you're going to have technical people saying that it's building in the right shoulder of a potential inverse head and shoulders here, and they could be right. Obviously, they could be right. I don't know what's going to happen into the future, but just with the BIP news and the dollar macro backdrop, it's hard for me to get really bullish for the month of August. All right, so we did get back above 527 briefly here on SMH. And then it fell right back under it. So I want to give this a moment to play out. You can see a spike of volume happening here as well, which other people are clearly watching this level. Clearly watching that level. So right here, right now, I want to see what this does. If it continues to break down, I'm not going to send that trade off. But if it stays under it and gets back above it and can stay above it for more than 15 minutes, I will. I don't want to put on a spread because if I'm going to risk the trade, I want the entire premium. Because it's a day trade. I mean, it's an intra-week trade, but it's just 3 days away. I don't want to be selling put premiums, though, if it's making fresh daily lows. Because this really isn't a great reaction down here. Not the kind of reaction I thought we would see. I thought today would be extremely bullish once we put in this liquidation, and that's not what's currently happening here. We're almost to noon, so even though we saw a lot of volume yesterday, that volume didn't come into the last 15 minutes of the day, which was odd. That was a lot of volume. So I'm willing to put this trade on if it can put more time above this level. That gives me more confidence that this probably is the low. So selling, down here at 485 for 3 days, a lot safer. There's a 12% chance at this point in time that the market would close down there. So it's a high probable trade. I just would like to see that momentum ease up first a bit. Looks like Bitcoin has put in its low and come off those lows pretty aggressively. We'll see if the faders show up. They did get a nice spike here after 9:30, so this is generally when your sell traders start selling again. Let me just pull this up over here. Okay, so pound Aussie is, or euro pound is well above the level that we wanted to sell. So that one's probably going to be a next week trade. Hello? So you're breaking out here. I don't like selling into that much bullish momentum. Too much bullish momentum. I wanted to see a rejection there, and that is not what we got going on. And if we look at this on FXCM, yesterday it had a lot of bullish aggression. Today you had a lot more sell side aggression, and it still couldn't roll over. Oh no, and they're more bullish. So I'm going to give it a little bit more time, as it may be making a bull trap today. So because it has so much bullish momentum today, I think we're going to leave this alone and we'll look to short it tomorrow. As long as it's not making a fresh day high tomorrow. We're going to want to see basically today close somewhere. It doesn't matter where. Wherever it closes, we'll wait for the next daily candle to open, see if we get a liquidation of today's high, and then put the short on up there. Then this way, if today is a trap, because today you're breaking out above the 50, and tomorrow will be the better day for that trade idea. You're seeing dollar weakness today, which is normal. Like I said, I didn't think we were going to get a breakout on the dollar the day before the Fed. And you're not. It's literally pulling back. A little bit of chop today. Tomorrow is when I think that breakout would happen. But we'll have to see. If the Fed even remotely acts dovish, then you could see dollar get hit. And we'll just have to wait. Tomorrow is the day. Tomorrow is the Fed. The Fed. SMH is looking okay, but man, I would feel so much better about it if you could close candles above that price. We put that short on. SPCX, see what I mean? Aren't you glad you didn't short this today? That's the kind of bounce that I'm talking about. Like, you don't want to try to be looking for fresh breakdown lows. Whenever you're doing that, you get these rip your face off rallies. You've been printing bullish divergence on 4, 8-hour, and 12-hour charts for quite some time now. You're getting to oversold on the daily time frame. That's generally when you're going to see big money shorts start to scale out of positions. That's why you see bullish bounces at lows, because your big traders, the ones that move the market, they're scaling out of shorts. They're buying back to close their trades, and that brings in demand. I was kind of hoping that SMH would do something like this today, based on yesterday's volume. It is extremely weak. Well, not extremely. I mean, you're not really down that dramatically. You're down, but you're not down. Like some of those other AI plays are down almost 40, 45, 50%. A lot of people probably buying this because they like the idea of getting a pullback. It's been a violent withdrawal. Let's see, what is Kashi doing? Is it still getting absolutely crushed? It's not Kashi, it's Kospi, you dumbass. All right, Kospi then. I obviously don't trade it. Yeah, it's still getting wrecked. Holy cow. Owie. Yeah, it's getting hammered. This looks and feels like a blow off. Yeah, you're taking out multiple months worth of lows here. Very aggressively. This thing is down from $9,300 down to $6,000. Ouch. Imagine if you bought this at $91,500. Ugh. There's no way I would have been a buyer up there, by the way. You'll never catch me buying a 90 print on a weekly RSI. Ever. Not happening. Because the blow off top is just around the corner. Bitcoin's actually getting a pop here. Seeing a nice rejection on Bitcoin volatility. The VIX is still pulling back off the highs. That's a major daily resistance level up there. You haven't been able to close a daily candle on the VIX above this. So your VIX or your vol sellers are absolutely getting involved up there. That's keeping the S&P from breaking down out of this wedging formation. Oil's pulling back hard again today. Yeah, it is what it is. This one is struggling to get going above resistance as well. This one has earnings tomorrow, too. Post-market earnings. All right, come on, SMH, you can do it. Oh, a fresh day high would be above 533. That would be great. Heavy selling pressure. So I would love it if this thing could spike above 531 with this heavy selling pressure coming in here. Sellers are jumping on it expecting lower lows today. Nvidia made fresh day highs. Not a big day for Nvidia. It's kind of a muted up day. I have deleted this indicator a million times and it keeps showing back up. Heavier selling pressure today in Nvidia too. Come on, you can do it. We're just looking to open a short put trade on this. Out 3 days just to get that vol crush. But we would love to see some bullish intent at this level. Because I want to sell it just under this level. With tomorrow's FOMC meeting, though, obviously that could cause more selling pressure. I'm sure that's being baked into the options premium. right, let's go ahead and sell the, I'm going to sell the 495s. And like I said, the expiration is in 3 days. So not a lot of time. I'm not one standard deviation out, but I am under the expected measured move. We'll see what happens. I will probably close this position out if it drops back under this line during the second half of the day. Because as long as it's trading under this, you have downside continuation. And I don't really like selling puts until I think us, you know, at least a couple days worth of lows are in. But that's the thing about selling puts, right? It is what it is. We're trying to just give it time. We're selling the high implied volatility and we're selling time, not price. We don't really care about price. We just want it to stay above our strike. And selling this far out, there's still plenty of premium on these out here. And the probability of success, so if you were buying these puts, for instance, the probability of you making money is slim. It's not impossible. It's just slim. And insta-fill. So those, lots of liquidity in this thing. There's the positions that we're in. Let's see, SpaceX. With this kind of reaction on SpaceX, it might be safe to sell some 104s. Let's go see if we've got any premium on that. Any premium worth looking at over here. We want to do it before earnings. Oh, that's what it is. I don't own the shares. I'm already in a trade on SpaceX. Okay. Okay. I sent this yesterday. I thought there for a second, I was like, why didn't that trade get stopped out? Because I did buy shares. But I see what's going on. I forgot about that yesterday. Let's go look at that. So obviously I sold a spread here. Let's see what I did that trade for. So a buck 13, wasn't looking for much. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of premium on them because it's only 3 days away, but the IV is up there. Yeah, I'll just leave that. I'll just leave that on. You probably have a near-term low in on this, as you definitely have taken out yesterday's high. So you've got a bullish engulfing candle on this, the way things set right now. I mean, if you can take out multiple days worth of highs, I would say it's a safe bet. You don't see 107 again for the rest of the week. Now, next week there's earnings. That's why I only went out 3 days. I don't want to sell put premium in front of earnings, especially on something this iffy. It's already extremely expensive based on their current financials. The financials they posted, they don't look great. Since oil's coming off kind of hard, VIX is back under 18. You're at 1804 on the VIX. S&P 500's looking okay. D-Vols went red on the day, so all the Bitcoin shorts This morning, not working out so good. Like I said, this has been the issue with crypto as of late. Rarely do you get 2 days in a row of continuation. It's been just as choppy as it could be. Last week, Thursday and Friday gave you 2 days of downside continuation. Saturday and Sunday was 2 days of up. Then Monday opens with a nasty dump. Tuesday opens. It looks like you're going to see downside continuation, but nope, the buyers show up. It's just very choppy. Back and forth, back and forth. Bitcoin would almost be worth selling puts on Bitcoin every week. But the unfortunate part about it is I would have to do it on like iBit, and there just isn't enough premium to even be bothered by it. You would have to sell like 50 contracts on iBit to make it worthwhile. But selling puts in a bear market usually is frowned upon. But if done correctly, it can generate nice returns even though you're not seeing. It's because you're not seeing continuation. So selling premium in a choppy market environment is beautiful. And this thing is chopping. Chop City. Any other questions? We're going to wrap this up shortly as everybody's gone. People just want to crash. Yeah, I know they do. And you don't get those very often. You just don't get them very often. You're literally trying to short an asset that sees constant inflows in the S&P 500. Constant inflows. People are buying that up every single week because of their 401k retirement plans and whatnot. But it is what it is. You can say that till you're blue in the face. Nobody's going to listen. Market tend to go up in 2 months. December, yeah, I mean, 4-year cycle market theory. You should see a bottom in Bitcoin. October, November. November puts you right on that 500 days before the halving, which has typically been a very good time to be a buyer in Bitcoin's history. And then Peter says Aussie New Zealand can be a short tomorrow. I love it when you talk Forex. Let's go check it out. It's a little bit more bullish than I like. And then here's the thing. I mean, now that oil's coming off aggressively, I could agree with you. But usually whenever you start to see inflationary, like when oil's rising, sometimes that gives Aussie a bid. It is losing the 21 day today. You do have a bearish engulfing daily candle there. The yearly range is still very bullish. I mean, this was extremely bullish for the last several quarters. So maybe it's pulling back now. You're still inside that. I would feel safer about looking for shorts if we were trending. How far do we got to go to get there? Not far. Okay, I'll say this about it. I would watch daily res 121.04, and if you refuse to close a daily candle back above that, I don't know that you'll get a retest up here tomorrow. You're still trading inside of today's range. So for bearish continuation, I would want to see this candle closing somewhere down in here today. Not above this white line. If you close above this white line today, then this will be the area to watch for shorts, and only if it rejects there. you're trading above that, there's a really good chance this is a trap. But I like where this is. I like the way it looks, and I like that reaction. So yeah, I agree. I'm going to keep this on watch as well. Could be a good little quick scout for tomorrow. Absolutely. Let's go look at the rollover fees on this. It's only going to be a day trade, so rollover rates do not matter. Yeah, but the short is on the wrong side of the rollover rates. That doesn't mean the shorts won't work. I'm just saying you don't really have a reason to sell it based on rollover rates. So we'll keep it on watch. We'll see what it does. Oil's pulling back, so that could be the reason you're seeing this pull back today as well. If oil continues to pull back, then I would like this short. Just look at it in terms of like, anytime there's like an inflationary trade, sometimes Aussie does good. It's like people will flee out of the euro and the dollar plays, and then they'll look for longs in the Aussie trade. But in a risk off environment, Aussie yen typically does bad. But since the yen hasn't been treated as a risk off currency in forever, that trade is dried up. This one might be there. It does look like it's losing momentum. That's a good sign. So yeah, let's give it a watch. We'll put it on watch tomorrow. SpaceX bouncing slightly nice today. Like I said, oil's coming off aggressively. So there must be a ceasefire going on or something. I have not looked at the news at all the last couple of days, because it's just been, there's so many earnings and stuff that's happening this week. You got the Fed tomorrow. It's like pause in airstrikes, saw uptick in Hormuz traffic volumes. That doesn't sound like there's a ceasefire. We will not accept negotiations and such. I think the world just doesn't even care. Iran is posturing up and acting so tough, and the world is just like treating them like nobody believes you, bro. They know there really isn't much they can do, right? I mean, they can bomb all of their neighbors. They can shoot at U.S. bases in the area, but it's about all. They don't have any air defense. They have zero Navy. There's not a whole lot they can do at this point. They're just sitting ducks. So for them to act tough is weird. Yeah, so I think the market is basically shaking it off. There's a surrender. There's not a surrender. There's a surrender. There's not a surrender. It's giving everybody whiplash all year long. So I think, looking at the news is kind of useless at this point. Let me see what we got over here on the tech side of things. Nvidia is slightly recovering. Yearly opening range is under Nvidia. Let me pull up the premiums on Palantir. as I think that stock is usually expensive to trade. Options. Palantir. Yeah, it has a pretty high IV. It's got decent premiums on it too. They've got earnings next week on Monday. Post market. $106 is way too far away. Yeah, there's just not enough premium down there. It's negative on the year, so it's been down all year. Maybe in August I'll look to sell some puts on it if it gets down here and fails. I don't see anything to do here. It looks like they're looking for downside continuation. The volume is drying up though, so it's probably drying up because you're getting closer to earnings. I mean, they did a good job of stopping price from going back above 140. Seems like the sellers are about to win. But support still holding. When do these guys report? Tomorrow. APH. They don't have weeklies. Does Credo have weeklies? They do. Ooh, there's nice premiums on this one too. $175. $75.80. So if there was more volume on that low, man, I would do it. You see how much volume came in on this down day here? And then the next day you did get lower lows, but then you spent the next, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 days before you broke back under that low. If we were getting an increase in volume by bigger than twice as much, I would sell puts on this. That's what we're looking at here on SMH, because we got such a massive spike in volume yesterday. we're thinking that this is probably going to be the low, at least for the next 3 days. Right? That's why we're short these puts under 500. We'll see. 492.50s is the strike I sold. So right there. We'll see what happens later on today. All right, you guys have a fantastic. Oh, wait a minute. People just want to. Yep. Okay. Perfect. We read everything. All right, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Make sure you guys trade safe. Make sure you trade smart. And as always, happy trading, everybody.